So hey guys, it's Michelle with Riding the Weaver Wave. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you for those of you that have subscribed already. If you haven't already, you know what to do when you see that big red button with the word subscribe. Just click on it and subscribe to my channel if you like it. You can always comment whatever you want to do on the bottom. Just wanted to let you know I'm sorry that I'm a couple days late. Caitlin went back in the hospital for about 4 days, so as you can see the balloons behind me. So I'm kind of running behind. Don't really have all my thoughts together right now, kind of tired, but I really want to stick to this. I made a commitment to God and to my family, and I want to make sure that everybody knows our story. So last time I left off with part 1. This time it'll be on part 2, and I'm going to introduce you some of our family members and talk a little bit more about them. So see you in a little while, guys. All right, guys, I'm back again. Riding the Weaver Wave, part 2. So I left off with telling you about how Caitlin's bleeding disorder was not really type 1 von Willebrand's, and the doctors were really confused because her bleeding was just not the normal pattern for type 1 von Willebrand's. And we end up finding out right before she turned 7, she has a new diagnosis, so this makes our 3rd. We've got type 1 von Willebrand's, we've got the factor V Leiden where she has blood clots, and now we have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, EDS for short. That basically means that she has a defect in the collagen in her tissues. So the healing, the poor healing after surgeries, that's part of the EDS. The issues that we keep having with the port, that's part of the EDS, the extra bruising, the extra bleeding into soft tissues. And now we also have hypermobility, where she can basically dislocate, or they call it sublux, a joint very easily, where you can just be walking down the road and kind of twist your ankle and be like, oh man, that hurt. She literally dislocates her ankle. And we started having all kinds of new issues with this. And at the same time, we have her brother, twin brother, Jacob, going through some issues of his own. And I'll show you in a picture in just a moment, where he ends up having to have sinus surgery and his adenoids taken out. At the same time, we're dealing with all this stuff with Caitlin. So we've got my husband at the hospital, who's wonderful and great, and I love him to death. And he's such a great dad and husband and provider, but he's at the hospital with Jacob, trying to manage things with him until I can get there. I'm dealing with Caitlin. We've got Joseph, that's Caitlin's middle brother. At the time was a teenager and, you know, doing teenage things. And then we have our older brother, Chris, who, let's see, there is, well, that was dumb. All right, sorry about that. Little brain fart there. Kind of lost my brain. So there are 12 years difference. Duh, the twins are 12 years old. So we've got the 2 teenage boys at home. We've got Jacob about to have sinus and adenoid surgery. He's almost 7. Caitlin's almost 7. And we've got a new diagnosis that we're trying to understand. We're also dealing with some new stuff. Caitlin loves to cheer. She's been cheering since she was 4 years old. She's a very active child. Cheerleading, gymnastics, dance, you name it. She's always doing something. But we noticed that, not to be mean to our daughter, but we would always call her clumsy. She's always falling down. She's always spraining her ankle. She's always bumping into things. And, you know, at first we thought it was her vision. Take her to the eye doctor. Nothing wrong with her eyes. But when we find out about this Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, the EDS diagnosis, that can explain why she's so clumsy. Being hypermobile means your joints basically are wobbly, so they just fall. You know, when she's walking, she can just literally twist an ankle. When she's opening a jar, she can just literally dislocate her wrist. She can pop an elbow out of place. She can do all kinds of weird things that you're not supposed to do. And the worst part about hers is because she also has the severe bleeding disorder, when she does have a bleed from the connective tissue or the joint dislocation, we have to use Morphactor. And the Morphactor we use, we have to be very careful because, once again, it can cause a clot from the factor V Leiden deficiency. So we've got 3 diagnoses, and we end up going to cheerleading and gymnastics, and we're doing our practice. And long story made short, we jump off a balance beam, and boom, we break the midfoot of our right ankle. The top part of the foot, we break the bone. No big deal. Go to the doctor, figured, we know we've got the EDS, we know we've got the bleeding disorder, but it's going to heal eventually. 18 months later, we're in casts, we're in physical therapy, we're in aqua therapy, we're in braces, we're in walking boots. We had surgery, we had a steroid injection, ended up having an allergic reaction to the steroid injection, got cellulitis in our leg, we almost lost our leg. So many issues came from this one foot injury. Then we started getting these rashes, very strange rashes. Rashes on her cheeks, rashes on her chest, rashes on her arms, rashes on her legs. And then we started having foot swelling besides the foot that was injured. And we started having knee swelling. And I just knew there was something more to this. This couldn't just be the bleeding disorder and the Ehlers-Danlos. Then we started running low-grade fevers. Now, granted, Caitlin never runs a fever. She truly does not run fevers. So when she's running 99.5 to 99.9, we know there's something going on with Caitlin. It's just not normal. In this whole 2-year time frame, Caitlin has had 3 ear surgeries. One of them was major. It's called a tympanoplasty. That's basically where they go behind the ear. It's disgusting, I know. And they pull a flap back and they basically repair the perforated eardrum. Caitlin's eardrum would burst probably about every 3 to 4 months, whether she had surgery or not. So they were doing everything they could to keep her eardrum from bursting. She had this big wrap that she'd come home with after surgery, and typically you stay in the hospital 1 day. No, again, we don't have a typical child. Caitlin's in the hospital for 3 to 4 days. Extra factor, IV antibiotics. Come home from the hospital, we develop a post-op infection from the surgery. It was just too much. There was so many things going on. My poor husband, Scott, owns Leave It to Weaver Upholstery. Shout out to anybody who ever needs anything upholstered. He is phenomenal at his job. Great Christian man, has a great team of workers. But at the time, we had Leave It to Weaver Upholstery just kicking off. It was really getting going good. And we're having all these medical issues, and I'm at the hospital with Jacob, with Scott, and then I'm at the hospital with Caitlin, and we've still got Joseph and Chris at home. And as you can tell, it's very hard to balance your time. I mean, who has time to be a mom and a wife and a nurse and a cook and a maid, and let alone we had dogs to take care of. Don't forget the fur babies. So I just want you to know that having a medically complex child, and these are only a few of her diagnoses, each time I give you a new video, you're going to find out about more diagnoses. Don't beat yourself up. That is one thing that I have learned. I wake up every morning, and like I told you, I don't care what your faith is, who you believe in, what you believe in, but believe in something. Because you need that to keep yourself sane. You need that to keep yourself grounded. You need that for a foundation. You are going to be with so many different doctors and so many different specialists and all these opinions being thrown at you. And we went to, and I'm not lying to you when I tell you this, 5 different orthopedic surgeons, 2 pediatricians. Sorry about that. One of the dogs were barking and my phone rang. We went to 5 orthopedic surgeons and 2 pediatricians before we were told, I think your daughter might have something called juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, and I think she needs to see a rheumatologist. She's got rashes, fever, joint swelling, redness, hot to the touch, and she's got a foot injury that will not heal. And the very last MRI that we did showed that she had some tendon swelling, and there's a condition called enthesitis. I might not be saying it right, but that's basically where the joints and the tendons kind of separate from each other with the inflammation and the swelling. And that's what one of these orthopedic surgeons said when he read the MRI. And I can't tell you how many MRIs, ultrasounds, CTs, and x-rays Caitlin went through over an 18-month period with her foot literally not being able to walk on it. She was either in a wheelchair or being carried. Another thing with the hypermobility and the von Willebrand bleeding disorder is she can't use crutches because any weight that she puts on her wrist would cause a wrist bleed, or you'll hear in my next video, it will cause her wrist to break. So once again, we're being told by all these different doctors, and you literally have to pray. You have to sit down with your spouse, your significant other, your family, your best friend, whoever you have in your life, and you really have to pray about what is the best avenue. What is the best route for my child? And every child's going to be different, and every child's going to have a different diagnosis and a different treatment plan. But for us, we felt that it was time for us to go the next step and to go to a rheumatologist. In the meantime, we have 2 boys that are in high school, and we have Jacob, who's got asthma and got some issues going on with digestive system, and we're having to get that checked out, and it just seems to never end. But you know what? That's called riding the Weaver wave, and it goes in every family. I'm sure whatever your last name is, you're riding the wave too, no matter what it is. You have your ups and your downs, and you get absolutely exhausted and overwhelmed and tired, and you got to reach out to that person that you can talk to. All right, so I just shared with you part 2 of our story, Riding the Weaver Wave. I hope you all enjoyed it. Got a little bit of emotional for me, and that's going to happen because this is our story. It's our family. Just want you to know that I have a great family. I love all of my children, all of our extended family, all of our church family, all of my friends. Everyone has helped us through this 7-year journey, and it's been a ride. It truly has. But as always, if you haven't hit that red button down below, big red button says subscribe, please do. I need all the subscribers I can get. If you want to like the video, if you liked it, please like it. If you have any comments, questions, you want to ask me anything, do that. Until next time, part 3. Thanks. Bye.